Oh hi, welcome back to A Slice of Life. It has been a while since I've done anything sort of this format. The reason being, I lost my Adobe installer. I had to get the Creative Cloud, and I had to save up for it, basically. Anyway, welcome back to the people who actually watch this show, and happy Halloween. I might upload this a little bit later, but yeah, as of recording, it is Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, I've been watching a lot of scary stuff, spooky stuff. The most recent one would be the Halloween movie with Michael Myers. Um, I'm not a fan of Halloween per se. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a fan. I do enjoy the slasher genre, Freddy versus Jason, Nightmare on Elm Street, which is technically horror, not slasher. But the Friday the 13th movies, I did enjoy go watching those growing up. For some reason, Halloween never was never part of my go-to horror movies. But I did see the first one a while back with what's her face, Jamie Lee Curtis being the first ever final girl or scream queen, and seeing her in this new movie was, and seeing her in the new movie was really great, so to speak. It was not nostalgic for me. Um, like I said, I had no strong attachment to the franchise, but I did enjoy the movie quite a lot. Um, I did like the um, Easter egg that they put on it, like the Happy Halloween, Michael, and all that stuff. Um, they even did. I don't wanna. Okay, fine. They even did a reverse where they portrayed um Jamie Lee Curtis's character as the one who's being unstoppable, which was great. Like the one of one of the scenes of the movie that you would find iconic, sort of in that Michael always comes back. So in a scene in the movie, he threw Laurie out the window, and then when he got distracted, and when he looked for the body, she was not there. So it was like they reversed what normally happens when it's supposedly Michael that suddenly stands up and disappears. So Laurie was the juggernaut in the movie, so to speak. Other than that, I did watch the Haunting on Hill House. Um, I liked it. I joked about it earlier, being why does every horror have to be on a house on a hill? A game I have right here is Betrayal on the house on the hill. A lot of stuff related to houses on hills for horror, and apparently this is based on a book. I haven't read it, but I did enjoy the series. Like it's jarring at first because the first few episodes you're jumping between timelines, and then the characters. I mean, the actors look so much alike. They're technically one family, but they look so much alike that if you're not paying attention, like I did the first time out, because I was technically afraid, so I was not really putting all my effort on focusing on the screen. You get confused because the mother in the past kind of looks like the older sister in the present day, and um, that aside, it does take a while, especially it does take a while for people to get invested, um especially since how the movie jumps between timelines. If you're not, and they do it so quickly that you're not sure who's who and what's what. So when you're introducing characters and you jump from present day to past, and without clear indication, it's sort of confusing. Some people might get it, some people might follow. I know a couple of people that did not take the first episode really well. But I think after uh, the third episode, I'm gonna pull the 3 episode rule here, but it's gonna be great. You're gonna get better acquainted with the characters, and better identify who they are as a person, and then um, it will rewatching it, knowing who's who is actually the story is very approachable. But if you don't know who the characters are right at the get go, it's problematic, especially the first few episodes. But I do love um the scares in that. Um, one of which is pulls close to heart because as a child I was actually a victim of sort of a haunting, so to speak. My family was. So we have a local myth here called the White Lady or the Lady in White for you guys out there. Your variant normally is a lady dressed in a white dress on the side of the road, hitchhiked, and then stuff happened. Um, we have a similar thing here with the White Lady, but it's not limited to side of the road stuff. So a lot of what happened in the haunting on Hill House um, mirrors a lot of what we've experienced here on our end. Sorry. But um, outside the initial scares, like the problem with horror movies, and it happened to me when I was watching it, like if you get scared enough, the scares that follow um are not as effective, and then if the show entirely relies on the scare factor, you will lose your audience towards the end. As great as it movie was, it did I did have problems with it toward the end. Like, okay, I'm done. Like, okay, I've seen this before. But with Hill House, because it is so character driven, even after you're used to the scares or understand why the scares happen, you're still invested and you still want to know, you still want to move forward. And then the great thing is with the revelations toward the end, at the end, you kind of want to rewatch it again, knowing what you know moving forward to see if you can spot something different. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen anything on the internet regarding Hill House, but there's a thing about hidden ghosts. So they do sprinkle around ghosts throughout the movie and not pull attention to it, and that is a really great way to make you feel nervous. Um, we humans are paranoid by nature. We spent most of our early evolution um, fighting off predators. That's why when someone stares at you or someone gives you the wrong look or someone just looks a certain way, it gives you the heebie-jeebies. And having the show put ghosts randomly, having them stare at the camera in places you're not normally aware of, that's not normally in focus, does put a little bit of psychological horror into it. You're scared. If your mind notices it, you're gonna have goosebumps a little bit, but you don't know why. Cause like a scene is playing out. It's randomly normal. It's bright. Everyone's cheery, but the music is fine. But for some reason, you're uneasy, and that is because of how they implemented the hidden ghost. It's not gonna have the same effect for everyone, but for someone who's sort of paranoid, it triggers something. Um, and yeah, that's Hill House. I strongly recommend it. Another thing that popped up on Netflix is Haunted. I haven't checked that out yet, but another show that I did watch for Halloween specifically was Castlevania. I love season one. Um, it it's basically Castlevania 3 in movie form, but season the my problem with season one, and this was a problem with a lot of people as well, was that it was only 4 episodes long, and the episodes were not over 20 minutes apiece. They basically had a 2 hour movie spread out in 4 parts, which was okay. It had a solid, cohesive story, but you kind of wanted more. And when it dropped on the 26th, I binge watched it to hell. And one of the main complaints I had, not it was not really a complaint. One of the issues I had with Castlevania season one is that one of my favorite musical piece, Bloody Tears, which you'll hear now. Um, was not part of it, but in season two, they did put Bloody Tears in a fight scene, and it was awesome. Um, the one thing I love about Castlevania, this series, is that um, Dracula is your sort of protagonist. Like, episode one starts off. Um, episode one, season one starts off with a Dracula trying to um, reintegrate himself into human society. He fell in love, and his wife wants him to be happy, sort of, and that did not happen. Um, the church is always the church. Did something to piss him off, and then he's taking out his revenge. Now in season two, we're seeing that he basically lost the will to live, and then his generals are confused as to why they're doing what they're doing. They're all for, yeah, hunting down humans, but not the way Dracula wants it to happen. So the conflict for the most part stems from that dynamic, and it's really interesting to have a show where you're sort of rooting for the villain, and then the minor villains who are opposed to the villain as well. You're sort of rooting for them too, because everyone makes a point. Even there's a character called Godbrand, and he's annoying as fuck. But if you hear him out, he does make a point. And as fucking annoying as he is, you get it. If you were him, you'd be pissed too. And yeah, so you're on one side you're rooting for, of course, the Belmonts, Alucard, and then Sylphie, forgot her name, the mage. And then on the other hand, you want, oh, Dracula's so poor. This is all the humans' fault. I understand why he's pissed. And then the generals are, yeah, they're gonna die if this continues. I understand why they're pissed. So I really like when everyone's not just a one-note character. Everyone's motivation for doing what they do makes sense. Um, I did not like the fact that they had to turn one of the interesting characters, one of the more interesting characters, into a straight up villain across the board. But I guess they kind of had to do it. Like, so, a spoilers thing. Um, so there's this character. I'm not gonna name names, but her she's one of the generals in Dracula's court, and she's not having it. So she goes around convincing people that, hey, Dracula's off his rocker. they're gonna end up killing all the humans and they're gonna starve to death. They're gonna be living off animal blood, which they do not like at all. And it makes sense. You understand the motivation. You understand why they want to turn against Dracula. But towards the end, once she gets people, she kind of flips. The character kind of flips, and then goes all power hungry, which did not rub me the right way. Like I was on her side for the most part, even though I did not want to be. So to see that happen just kind of removed all my attachment towards that character. Like she was already winning. Why did she have to be a dick about it? Anyway, yeah, that's Castlevania. Watch it if you and Haunting on Hill House. Watch it as well. So that's been my slice of life. Please have an awesome day. Bye.